Hi, this is Carolyn, and I'm here with Aaron, and we thought we would do a 2021 recap. We've had an incredible year. I've had so much fun doing these episodes with you, Aaron.
Yeah, I have too. We are doing this longer than we originally thought we would because we're on such a roll. We're just having so much fun and learning lots of new skills, not just podcasting, but all kinds of new skills.
Yes. And we want to thank everybody out there that's nominated us for awards. We won an award at our state level, which is North Carolina, and then out of the Southern District. And then we won a national award. So we can't thank the listeners enough who listen to the podcast, which we really appreciate, and also who nominated us.
Yeah, it's been, we're going to go accept those awards 2 different weekends in January, and we'll actually get to meet some of the people that we've interviewed in person, which is really cool. We get to go to some USTA meetings. So I think you and I will probably need to take a pad and paper and write down a whole bunch of notes on all the new episode ideas that we'll have that will come out of that. And I'm sure we'll get ideas from people when we're there too. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I cannot wait. And for those of you that are listening, we hope you do check out our website, which is secondservepodcast.com. Aaron's done a fantastic job putting on all the episodes that we've ever done at one place at the website, and also a really cool resources page with all the websites that we go to. Aaron, can you talk a little bit about that?
So Carolyn had this great idea to put together a resources page and put links to all the places that we go and that we've talked about on different episodes, like rules. So we have Carolyn, Friend of Court. We have Stump the Ump section. We had Rebel Good on for several episodes in 2021. And he's got a column that we link to for his those weird things that happen on the court once in a great while that nobody knows, what the rule is. And then what else is on there, Carolyn?
All the ratings websites we go to, like USTA's website, Tennis Record, Tennis League Stats, UTR, all the places that I know I go to after I play a match and to see how someone's rated. So we put that all in the same place for you.
Yeah. And gear, we just put a couple links to places that you can buy, clothes, equipment, whatever you want online. So there's lots of stuff there, and we're just going to keep on adding to it. And the cool thing, the thing that I like most about the website, it actually helps me. I hope it helps, listeners. But if anything that we've recorded, so we're at 90 some episodes now, which is crazy. But because they're all on the website, everything is searchable. So if there's a certain topic that someone's interested in, or literally even just a word, we had Marilyn Sherman on from USTA National, and you could literally go on the website and just type in Marilyn, or if you want to look up rules, if you want to, or crazy situations, or the word drama, or whatever you're interested in, any of our episodes that have those words in them will pop up in that search feature. So I use that all the time.
I do too. Whenever I want.
You and I go to the website the most out of everybody.
I know. Is anyone else going to the website? Let us know.
Some people are, I can tell, but you and I probably have the most.
Yes, for sure. For sure. But I've also learned a ton from our guests this year, and we thought it would be good to go through and kind of recap what we've learned. I know I'm a completely different player, or at least I'm trying to be. The first one that I could think off the top of my head is Gigi Fernandez. She's a 17-time Grand Slam champion, and she gave us all this great advice. But one of the things she mentioned for adult recreational players was plan switches, because we're too slow to poach just normally, so that we should plan to switch. And I know we've done it a couple times and it's worked.
Yeah, we did we practiced it that way a lot. And then we had a tournament that we kind of implemented. And actually, Carolyn, the funny thing about that tournament was we had some of our opponents doing different formations on us, which is funny because Carolyn and I practice different formations a lot based on Gigi's advice. So it's funny to have it done against us and to kind of know how to defend or I guess, either be offensive against it or defend against it. But yeah, and Gigi was one of the first ones too. She was so just generous with her time that we were like, oh, we just do these 10, 15-minute episodes. We won't take up much of your time. And she was like, let's talk forever. And then you could just cut it up. So we've done these, several times that we've talked to people. We've done these, 2 or 3 part, like sort of mini series, with our guests, which that's kind of been fun too.
Yes. And I'm thinking of somebody else. A teaching pro was Malik from the Raleigh Racquet Club, and his wife, Adna, who's a beginner. And I really liked his advice, which is just get out there and play. You don't have to take all these lessons or clinics. You can, but just keep getting out there and playing, and you will get better.
Yeah. Like a live ball, he was saying, right? So
yes.
Yeah, you can get a ball fed to you all day from a pro that's going to feed it pretty well in your strike zone. But when you actually get out there and start playing, and that's what his wife did. And she was great. Again, she stuck around after Malik actually had to leave after, 15 minutes of recording with him because he was going to a lesson that evening, and Adna stuck around, and she just had great advice for beginners. She just had all that, kind of fresh, all the stuff that we forget now that we've been playing for so long. But, she just had great advice for beginners, which I thought was wonderful.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm also thinking there were episodes that made me laugh, like what's in your tennis bag, where I have a tennis bag full of everything. And so do you, Erin. We have like everything that we never need. And then our friend Michelle was on, who's been on a number of our episodes. So we really appreciate her doing that. Yeah. But she doesn't even have a tennis bag.
No, she just rolls up to the court with her racket. And usually she comes in her flip-flops. So she carries her her shoes on, right?
Yes.
Even if it's winter, I think she rolls up with, racket, her flip-flops, her pocketbook, her purse. Yeah, she's just out there to have fun. I love it. It makes me laugh so hard because like you, I have an 8 racket bag or something, and I have 2 rackets, so I legitimately need room for more than one. But I use it for like, sometimes I do put my shoes in it or extra clothes. Like, you and I change at the end of a match or practice. Sometimes, I'll practice and then run around, do errands the rest of the day. So so my bag is huge. And then Michelle has like just her racket and her flip-flops.
Just a racket. But it made me realize I don't need all the stuff that I have, so it is kind of interesting. But she also made me laugh in another episode, which she did with our friend Wendy, which is who you should be afraid of playing adult recreational tennis. And I remember Wendy saying we should be very afraid of the people in braces because
like braces, they've been not mouth braces.
Oh, yes. Yeah, like a knee brace.
Yes.
Because they've been playing, they're willing to get injured. That made me laugh.
Well, and it also makes me think, they're probably gonna not move around. I always say, like, I run around on the court sometimes like an idiot with like, I would hate to see myself on film because I probably just run around with my head cut off. And then I see people like that with braces that are like just standing still. And then you feed them one wrong ball and they are just putting it away without even moving. And here I am running, like burning a ton of calories and out of breath, having to sit down between, games. And they're just like, no big deal. Just put the ball away.
Yes, that's going to be us one day. Yes, it's going to be us one day.
One day.
Wendy also did one with us on awkward things people say at changeovers or during the match in adult recreational tennis. And it's made me stop saying, I'm sorry at the end of a match where I lose badly. I've started not saying that and just saying, good match. You played great.
Now you say, did you know I have a tennis podcast?
That's right. I do normally say that.
Yeah.
And then they say, what's a podcast?
Yeah, exactly. But I'm actually excited for 2022, which, I mean, not that I'm so excited about 2022, but I'm excited about spring starting again because even though we're still in a pandemic and we did start this during the pandemic at the beginning, I feel like we have so much new material coming and we're going to have to write down all those awkward things that people say. And we will have multiple episodes about that kind of stuff because, people are just different personality. Everyone just has a different personality. So they tend to say some weird thing at least the things that we think are weird. So
yeah. And it's not right or wrong. It's just different.
It's just different. Yeah, exactly.
But we also had Rachel on the podcast a number of times, one of our very good friends named Rachel, and she gave a lot of great advice. And we had her on for what not to say to your doubles partner. And I remember that she was saying, don't say, watch the line. Like they know that. People know that. And also not to give unsolicited advice.
Right. Again, we're going to have plenty of new material in 2022 because it does tend to happen. It just depends on who your partner is or, who your opponent is. But yeah, Rachel gave really good advice. She also gave a lot of really good captain advice.
Yes.
Yes. I feel like we talked a lot of, sometimes our episodes would start out one topic and then Rachel and I would tirade into what it means to be a captain.
Yes.
So those were some really good ones too.
Yeah, I think when you guys did the one on exchanging lineups, which I'm so glad I'm not a captain after listening to you guys talking about that. But I thought the part about you have to write it down, make the other team write it down. Don't just give them your lineup. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. And we have to remember our own advice because, the reason why we even talked about that was because her and I have both had situations where, we just thought, oh, this is just a casual match. We'll just, kind of scribble it at the last minute or whatever. And now Rachel always comes with it on her phone typed out. And that's usually what I do too. I used to print out the paperwork that you can get off the USTA website, and write it, physically write it down. But Rachel's right. You can just type it in your notes, but I do not show my phone to someone until I'm sure that their lineup is ready because people have switched their lineups on me before, mid switch, which is crazy.
Yeah, that is. It is. That's adult recreational tennis for you. We've also had a lot of former athletes on our podcast, different that play different sports. We've had Carla a number of times, who is fantastic. And I really like all the advice. I feel like Carla is very wise. Nothing that anyone does to her on the tennis court bothers her.
Yeah.
And she always, she was telling me I need to have a lot of grace for other people. We're not robots out there. People make mistakes, and that's part of the game.
Yeah, I agree. And, we always joke about, I've come across several players that were former volleyball players. I'm like, yep, I know that shot because my friend Carla has it. The other athlete that we had on, that her episodes were really popular and we really enjoyed talking to Melanie. She was she learned tennis very early on and then really didn't play it much.
She was a lacrosse All-American.
Yeah. She was very, very successful in other sports, but didn't come back to tennis until she was an adult, which, that really is our audience is that's the perfect thing, right? Either maybe not played as a kid and came back to it, but just that adult tennis rec player. And she just embodies that of, being an athlete. And, she went away from the sport for years and was a mom and raised kids. And now she's back playing and playing very well.
Yes. And I remember she said you have to be comfortable with crazy, out there on the tennis court. And it made me think about it a little bit different that, that's right, on a tennis court. Yes. That says comfortable with crazy.
Yeah.
The other thing she said that really did change my mentality a little bit, because there is a part of me, I have very young kids that feels guilty for leaving to go and play tennis. And she said absolutely not, that it's very good for your children to see you go and play a sport
and compete.
Yes. Yeah.
To compete as an adult. Yeah, we've talked about that. This is why tennis is such a good sport for adults, because we don't have a lot of other competition, in our lives. Other than maybe with business or, something like that. But as far as having a sport as an adult where you can go out and compete, and man, how many people, I know, I'm kind of jumping ahead to towards the end of our year, which we just did several weeks ago, but we talked to, people as adults are playing tennis, winning playoffs, winning states or sectionals or whatever you call it in your region, going on to nationals. We're spending money on this sport to take it to another level. At the end of the day, we're still coming home and we're parents or, whatever, coming home to your family or whatever. But the fact that we can go out and travel to different cities around the country and continue to grow in the sport, I never thought when I started out as a 2-5 that was part of playing adult rec tennis, was to be able to travel to Oklahoma or, to the national tournament. It's just very cool.
Yeah. We had Amanda on that talked about winning the national tournament that she won for both 18 and over and 40 and over. And we had Megan, who I thought was absolutely fantastic, who won as well, I think she won North Carolina and went on to sectionals. And then we also had Austin, who won for 3-0 men. And I feel like I learned so much talking to the captains. And the thing I think I learned the most was that, and I wish every captain would do this, which is set the lineup ahead of time.
Have a
plan.
plan.
Before you leave, have a plan. Yes.
So true.
Because that makes it so much easier for the people actually playing to know, I'm going to play at this day at this time, no matter what.
And you know what's funny about that too is my most successful captaining, like teams that I've captained that made it, both our 3-5 before you and I got bumped, both our 3-5 18 over and 40 over went to states in the same weekend. And so it kind of forced us to have a plan because, you know, we needed X amount of players at 6 different courts or, you know, whatever it was. It was a lot of, you know, strategical, you know, things that we had to figure out ahead of time. But we also had the most success at that. We actually won states at, you know, one of our teams won states. But we had all the lineups set. And then I think back to the years that I went, you know, either as a player or as a captain and had less success than that year was, we went into it with maybe a lineup or 2 figured out, but then we were going to see how things went. And you've been to states where that happened. And that just, it makes for everyone, the captain is stressed because she or he is trying to make decisions on the fly as opposed to having a plan. And then
feelings
really
get hurt. Everybody's feelings get hurt. Yeah.
And it's worse for the players that aren't the captain because they have no idea what's going on. So I agree with you 100%. And when, not if, but next time we make it to states, I will take all the advice from Megan, Austin, Amanda. They did it right for sure. They all did it very, very well.
At least with Amanda, she said she had designated singles players and designated doubles players. And also the doubles players play with the same people over and over again. I felt like I kept hearing that from all the captains we talked to, is that you had a set partner, which I want to do that. I think that's really good advice.
I agree. Now that I'm thinking back what worked for us and then talking to the captains that really were successful, that does seem to be the magic, the winning combo.
Yes. And I also,
so if other captains listen to this, hopefully they'll take that same advice.
Yeah. And I remember also Austin mentioned that if you get the choice when you spin the racket to receive the serve, if that matters to you, if your serve's a big serve or you win your serve a lot, it may be better to receive since you only have a short warm up.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is really good advice.
Another person that I really enjoyed speaking with was Angela. And Angela,
I was going to say,
do you want to give a little background on her, Erin? She's like the most amazing person ever.
Yes. Carolyn and I knew Angela from different walks of life. Carolyn knew her from basketball and I knew her from our daughters playing volleyball. And she has kind of dabbled in playing tennis for a while, but finally started playing, got on a team, started doing quads, and then got on a team, a really successful 2-5 team in the fall. And they went all the way to states. She unfortunately got hurt right before they went to states and didn't do that. But she came on with us and she had some great questions. Not that we always say we're not experts and we don't know the answer, but we've been playing a lot longer than her. And so her questions, not that we 100% knew the right answer, but at least it was fun to just kind of like kick those questions around, like, what kind of balls do you use? And why
do people call the score differently? 15 versus 5, things that I really had never thought about.
We just kind of take for granted. Or don't think about because it just comes natural. Yeah. Why do people call the score out strangely? What types of different surfaces do people play on? She had some really good questions. It was fun to do a couple episodes with her.
Yes.
We kind of had a bonus episode with Angela, although she was, not making her the star of the show at all, but we had on a woman, Judy, who was featured in a film that Angela put together, a documentary film that Angela put together. And Judy is an 85-year-old, 90-year-old.
Maybe 90 now. She's in a show called that Angela made called Granny's Got Game.
Right. Yes. It was her basketball documentary. But Judy is still playing tennis at her age. In fact, I see her once in a while and I always talk to her. And she just had an amazing background, really good. Carolyn, you asked her a question like, how do you get up and continue to play the next day, like when you're not feeling well or you're injured? Because Judy has had many injuries over the years. And I think you learned a lot that episode, because what did she tell you?
She basically said, you just do it. And
yeah.
It is, like there's many days where I know I don't feel like playing and I don't even have an injury. And so it is kind of interesting to hear that we should never complain about anything. I think it's what we came after that episode. Erin and I were talking about that. We have nothing to complain about. We're so lucky to be able to play. And if she's still doing it with the pains that she may have, then we shouldn't be complaining. We should just get out there and do it no matter what.
Yes, exactly. And I think we learned the same type of thing over and over again from people because, hearing from Judy, hearing her story, knowing her age and that she's getting up every day and going back out there, because that's what motivates her. It's, we also talked to Laura, about we talked to her about awards, but the episode was people doing great things through tennis.
Yes.
And I think that's the, every time I'm out playing, I'm reminded of that, that we are healthy enough to be out there. Good day or bad day in tennis. I mean, from a perspective of playing, like I've had several bad days lately, but then there was a time where I was like, oh, I can do no wrong. But also just like knowing how many people out there are playing tennis, and then like they might have like a fundraiser tournament, or, like she's a big champion for wheelchair tennis, and just all kinds of like really good programs that they use tennis as the mechanism for the message, which is, live life to its fullest. I mean, they have like a cancer survivor tournament, and they're just the sport in general. It doesn't need to just be about playing USTA competitive matches or just practicing with your friends, but it's like appreciation for being healthy enough to be out there.
Yes, that it's such a privilege, and that tennis really can change people's lives. We had Julie Dick on the podcast too, who is the executive director of the Raleigh Tennis Association. And you could tell just how passionate she was about tennis as well. So you meet all these people like Laura, like Julie, that are just so passionate about tennis and like what they are able to do with tennis to affect people's lives. And it is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. We had several USTA people on too. We had Liz and Elicia. I really enjoyed talking to them because Liz runs the championships, right? The national championships.
Yes.
And Elicia
I can't imagine doing that.
I know.
Yes.
I think I said at the time it was like worse than trying to put a wedding together. I think, what was it, like 1,500 teams or something? And then Elicia runs the next generation, I guess, initiatives through USTA. The other person we had on was Marilyn Sherman, who's the promotions manager, the USTA National Promotions Manager. But we heard from our now friend, Amanda, that Marilyn was at the national championships as well, helping Liz and everybody else run those. And I have to say, I'm really impressed after hearing from Amanda how much USTA does at those big tournaments. Like they had a photographer, they dressed up in different colors, like they had
a really cool award. Yeah.
Armbands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their awards looked like the US Open awards, like the plates, the silver platters. Like it's just, I'm really impressed with, the stuff that USTA puts on.
Speaking of Marilyn, we also learned from Marilyn Sherman and Dani Broadstreet about the different ways you can register for teams now, which I do actually. What was it that you said it was like, Erin? You said it was like tennis dating.
Tennis dating. It's like a tennis dating app.
But it does open things up so that if you don't have a team, if you're listening right now in a certain area and you don't have a team, that you can go on and register and become part of the team.
I just told someone about that yesterday, and I have verbally told several people about that because now we're in the season of, it's late December. I think we can start registering for USTA teams January 1st, at least in our area. And just yesterday, someone was talking about that they were looking for a couple more players for one of their 55 and over teams. And I said, did you know that USTA, you can, register register your team come January 1st, and you can have like you can leave your team open for people to join. And that's why I said it was like a dating app, because it's like, looking to mingle.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. And I forgot to mention this person. So I absolutely love rules. I want to know what the rule is.
You do.
I do. I like very clear rules, but when they're not clear, I know who to go to, which is Rebel Good. He's officiated tennis for 30 years. He does the Stump the Up section for Western Wake Tennis Association. And I learned a lot from him from those episodes. And I hope if you're listening that you'll go and check those out if you haven't listened, because I really, we've been playing for 10 years and he made it so the rules very clear in a lot of situations, because I think there's a lot of gray area.
Yeah, I agree. I need to go back and listen to those episodes to tell you the truth. But he did break it down. I mean, some of them were really confusing, what seemed really confusing. And he broke it down to be very simple. Like he made us answer the question from like a common sense perspective. But I think if you're out on a tennis court and you're trying to solve it, it gets like, I think one of the things he said was, people make up their own rules because they don't actually know. And so I think it is good to go back and listen to those, because we did ask him, some of those wacky questions, but he just made it very clear. Like, he would just made us think about it and kind of quizzed us on what the right answer was. And most of the time I think we came up with the right answer. But my favorite quote from him was, I'm going to say it wrong, but it was, to summarize, it was something like the bedrock of adult tennis.
The bedrock of adult recreational tennis
is courtesy. Courtesy. I love that, because, there's a lot of times that there's not courtesy given. And, when it comes to rules and people think they know the rule, but don't actually know the rule, then, that's when there tends to, fights break out, people start arguing. But yeah, he was fantastic on that.
We really appreciate everyone who has listened to our podcast, and especially the guests for being willing to share their stories. We are having a great time doing this and hope to continue to do it for a long time. We also appreciate everyone who has rated us wherever you listen to your podcast. And for people that have sent us emails, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Sarah from Minnesota and Joe from Illinois, who recently wrote us some really nice emails. If you'd like to read the Stump the Ump column from Rebel Good, you can go to our website, which is secondservepodcast.com, under the resources section. Also, if you know of any other ratings websites other than the ones we have listed on the resources section, please let us know. Thanks so much for listening, and hope to see you on the court soon.